It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in the Big Apple, New York City. Hello, everybody. I am the Mad Dog. This is America's Podcast. What's the buzz? And I'm joined, God help me, by Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm fantabulous. Fantabulous, a word that I stole from my late old boss, Jerry, the Geeter with the heater blavet. Johnny, do you remember the Geeter with the heater?
Oh, yeah, and the boss with the hot sauce.
Absolutely. Let me introduce everybody tonight.
He was the road manager for Danny and the Juniors.
Yeah, he sure hell was. 1964.
Yep.
He was 19 years old.
Imagine that, the Geeter. He was the best, man. I miss him. He was the last of the old time characters. Him and my father, God rest his souls. When my father was a character, you probably knew my dad. So tonight, the glory days of Doo Wop with one of the original members. He is an icon, a legend on the stage in clubs around the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the songmaster himself, Johnny Petillo. Danny and the Juniors. Hey, Amelia.
Tony, Orlando, and Dawn. A close personal friend of Billy Carlucci. I wouldn't tell a lot of people that.
Billy and I go way back.
I know you do, brother. Well, listen, welcome to the show. I'm glad to have you here.
Good to be on. Oh, it's so nice, this show.
I am happy to have you here, brother. I want to tell you, I've been wanting to do this for a long time. Yeah. The people know they watch this show. I get my guests the old-fashioned way. I troll them on Facebook. And that's how I found Johnny, and I thought to myself, oh, shit, I know who Johnny Petillo is, my God.
That's when I saw that. Remember, I emailed you. I don't know how long that email was there. Or the text, I don't know what.
It sat in your inbox for probably 4 months before you answered it, John.
But that's not, I didn't know I had it.
Why not? He said.
I still don't know what they mean.
Amelia, I sent this email to him to invite him on the show, right?
Right.
6 months later, I get a response.
Well, he's a busy man.
I see on the thumb, I said, who's this? I'm scrolling. I have so much. Mad Dog. As soon as I saw it, I went, whoa, boom. And that's when I emailed you back.
Exactly.
Here we are. I mean, so it worked.
Johnny, let's talk about the incredible staying power of the classics, like In the Still of the Night, At the Hop, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay. You Belong to Me. Have You Heard? All these amazing songs, they refuse to go away. And every generation, every single generation that comes by, before and after, they have these songs that they're like a testimonial to our generation. Why are they still around? Tell me the power of that music.
Yeah, because Dave White wrote Rock and Roll is Here to Stay.
Yeah.
He said he wrote that song, in 5 minutes.
Wow.
He said,
I heard that.
Well, yeah, and
I heard that.
All them great songwriters, their biggest hits, they write in minutes. Buddy Holly said it too, in minutes. Yeah. The songs with all the chords and the bang, they don't get as far as a 3-chord song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
All these big songs. Look at Fats Domino. He got 2-3 chords in his song.
That was it. That was
Jerry Lee Lewis.
I don't understand. Fats Domino. You mentioned a guy. He's considered an icon and a legend. Antoine Fats Domino had one album. That was it.
That was it. People don't see. That's why you're smart, Angelo.
He had
don't tell him.
One album. That was it. His biggest song, I Found My Thrill.
Yeah.
Right? On Blueberry Hill.
All those singles came from his album.
Every one of them.
Ain't that a shame?
Yeah. Right?
All those songs.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your beginnings. I want to know your roots. You're an East Coast guy, probably a Philly, Jersey, that area.
Asbury Park, New Jersey.
So you are one of our guys. Okay. God bless
Absolutely.
America. We did another one since Sinatra and Petillo, baby. Beat that.
I've got
Okay.
you under my
Under my
skin.
skin. I love
Love it,
Frank. I met Frank at the Tropicana Hotel years and years ago. He was performing at the Sands in Atlantic City. He came to the Tropicana to hang out with his buddy Danny Thomas. And I was there that night with Danny Thomas, and Sinatra walked in with Jilly. Yeah.
What a night, huh?
I'm telling you what, the spirits were flowing that night, brother. I'll tell you what. And the cigarettes, the place looked like a foghorn. Like,
well, I'll tell you here, when I was playing Vegas, I'm going back into the 70s. I was at the Flamingo. Sinatra was at Caesars, which was right across the street. I said, let me go over there. So I go over and I knew a few people there. Right. And the bottom line was this, fast forward. I saw the show and wind up having dinner at his table. But I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to be at Pat Henry's table. You remember Pat Henry?
Oh, my God. Yeah, absolutely. He was his opening act for years.
Yeah. And he used to open up for him.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was supposed to sit at his table. So I was taught, like Shirley MacLaine was there, Danny Thomas, like you said. He had his own little circle. So I was taught. Oh, yeah. So the bodyguard came over and said, all right, everybody sit down. And he looked at me. He goes, sit down, kid. I sat right down.
Yes,
but
sir.
I wasn't invited to that table. It was Sinatra was at the head table, Shirley MacLaine here, and me.
Oh, my God.
Picture? Charlie Callis on my side over here.
Charlie Callis? You and Charlie Callis together? Oh, my God. I'd have paid to be a fly on the wall in that fucking joint. Holy shit.
Where was those camcorders then? Mm-hmm. He was messing with me all night.
Oh, man. Charlie Callis, God rest his soul, one of the funniest human beings that ever lived.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God.
His room was next to mine at the Flamingo.
Oh, my God. Talk to me about the early days. How did you get racked up into this crazy racket? I got to be careful using that word racket over here.
What are you, a wise guy? No, I was always in this business. So I started in Asbury Park.
Right.
But then when I went to Philly, I went through an agency in there, Jolly Joyce Agency. So I knew Danny Rapp for years.
Oh, sure.
So in the 70s, they were having problems, naturally. Doo Wop State, it's a battleground.
Of course.
Danny, what's that?
I said, of course, it's a battleground, yeah.
So Danny goes, hey, Johnny, come be a junior. I went, what? So I went, all right, Dan, let's talk. So we talked it out, boom. Before you know it, the following week, I was on a stage in Austin, Minnesota.
Oh, my God.
It was a hockey rink. Chubby Checker closed. Angela, listen to this. I came from a place in Asbury Park. It was called the Sunset Bar. That was my last gig there. Danny picks me up in the band. Yeah. We go.
Yeah.
I go from a bar to an arena.
Wow.
It was like, no, really. I was waiting for Rod Serling to walk in.
Let's talk about that. Johnny, how do you go from a local, shot and beer joint singing, a couple, 2-3 nights a week to Madison Square Garden? How the hell does that happen?
Well, I wish I knew, but you're always prepared for it. My whole life as an entertainer, I always wanted to play the Garden. But Johnny Petillo, I wouldn't have filled maybe the front row. But when I was with the Duprees, I got my chance because Danny had passed away the month before.
Yeah.
Then when we did it, we opened up with At the Hop and Rock and Roll's Here to Stay, and that place went insane. And
Yeah.
like today, they have these like all lit up. It was
Yeah.
all big lighters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'll tell you what, I went, oh man, I thought the 60s were coming back from Woodstock.
You're right.
All these lights. Yeah, and there's really the only thing is, man, though, you gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
If you're not prepared, it's not gonna work.
So
I was practicing all my life for that.
Exactly. You know, it's funny because we do that subconsciously. We do that so that when that moment happens, we can slide right into the spot without even thinking about it. And you know what, Johnny? It's almost like, and you probably know this. It's natural. It's like you sliding right in, like sliding in the home.
Yeah, because people go, "Are you nervous?" Nervous?
Yeah.
I want to go on that stage.
Right.
You know, it's more anxious.
And when I tell people that Amelia, please tell me if I'm bullshitting in any way, shape, or form. When I tell people, I'm not sure she will not lie for nobody.
I could see her.
I tell people that we do a radio and with a video support, we do a radio show with 17 million subscribers. They think that I'm lying.
We do.
Okay. There are 17 million people worldwide listen to this show.
Yes.
Well, at any given time. That's our fan base.
That's correct.
People say to us, well, aren't you nervous? No, because I'm in my home.
Right.
This is what we do.
Yeah, exactly. It's what we do. Talk to me about being invited. Talk to me at that point when Danny, God rest his soul, when Danny Rapp says, Johnny, I want you to be a junior. Okay, so now you're part of Danny and the Juniors. Rock and roll is here to stay at the Hop, any number of songs they did, right?
Right.
Okay, so what happens then? What's the first gig?
The first gig actually was in Madison, Wisconsin. We did that one first. And it was like a country club. There's like 500 people there. So to me, at that point, 500 people is a nice crowd.
Yeah.
The next gig was in Austin, Minnesota with 20,000 people, like I said before.
Wow.
I'm telling you, and I'm glad we did the first one for 500 people. Because when you look, and there's 20,000. I thought I had to play hockey because it was a hockey arena. I said, I hope they don't think I'm a hockey player. And they put wood all over the floor and then more seats.
Oh,
so 20,000, but there was like 23,000, 24,000 people there that night.
Oh, my God.
Hey, you get used to that real quick.
Yeah, you do.
Real quick.
Oh, don't. I know it. Trust me. Believe me, I know it. Been there. Okay, I have. I've been there. I've done rooms for 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. I know. I've done clubs for 35 drunks, you know?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes they're the fun gigs.
I'm telling you what, those are sometimes the best gigs, and sometimes, Johnny, you know this, sometimes those are the longest nights you have.
Oh, man. It's long. And then if you look at your watch, you don't want the crowd to see you go like this.
I know, right?
Like you're getting a drink of water, and as you turn, then you look at your watch, you go like this.
Yeah.
You mean I only been on here 10 minutes?
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be a long night, folks.
No, it's true.
Now, I wanted to ask you, the Duprees had a long and sordid history. It's been a rough and tumble history for the Duprees. There's a guy, Tommy Petillo. You related to?
Yeah, we're cousins.
Oh, your cousins? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say it has to be too coincidental here.
Yeah, we didn't know we were cousins until
really
his wife, Tommy's wife, did like a background thing.
Oh, okay.
His family and my family were from the same places in Italy.
Wow.
You know, so we always say, yeah, we're cousins, but not identical cousins.
Exactly.
Patty Duke show.
That's funny stuff. Amelia, questions, Amelia, for Johnny
Yes.
Petillo.
My mom always had doo wop songs all the time as growing up, so I was, I grew up with that, and of course, I'm gonna, my kids and everything like that. How do you think now music has changed compared to doo wop? Is it harder for the words for us to understand the words now compared to back then?
You mean they actually have lyrics?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, thanks for telling me. I didn't realize that.
No
That
shit.
Super Bowl, the
For
Super
real.
Bowl.
Oh my God, that was horrible. Wasn't that the worst?
Oh my.
Oh
Yes,
my
it is.
goodness.
Please.
Oh.
So you know what I did? I made a few calls. Like when I saw that, I had to go take a shower.
Mhm.
I said, I can't believe that this is. I didn't understand it. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what. Are we all that old? I mean, I could. But if you're in show business, you said, I have no idea. So you know what I said? I noticed one entertainer. I says, you know what? I said they should try a rock and roll doo-wop halftime show. I guarantee you the young kids would like it because
absolutely.
rock and roll that started everything.
Yeah.
You never know.
You know what? Hold on to that thought, Johnny, because I'm going to tell you something. I think that's the way to go.
I believe it.
I'm serious. This is sometimes the greatest ideas come off the cuff, just like this.
Oh yes.
And I want somebody to hear this. I want somebody who's got some juice to hear this and run with it. A halftime doo-wop show at the bowl or at any big event. That's the way to go with it.
That's the only way to go. But you know what, man, though, there's a lot of like Danny and the Juniors. Well, Frank is the only one left, Frank Maffei.
Yeah, you and Frank are the only two. Yeah,
and Billy.
Yeah,
Carlucci. Now I was with Billy too in the Essentials too at one time.
Right. Yeah,
and so now they have these tribute acts, but some of these groups they just use the name, the Drifter. All the Drifters are gone. Charlie Thomas was the last one to pass away.
Yep.
So I mean the Flamingos though, Terry Johnson. Great act.
Yeah.
Woo, he's great.
Bro, I tell you what, it bothers me. One of the things that John Bowser Bauman and I have in common, we don't like tribute acts using the name if there are no original members.
Right.
I'll give you a perfect example. The last surviving member of the Platters was the now late Sonny Turner. I got to see Sonny a couple summers ago in Wildwood, New Jersey. He's since passed away.
Yeah.
But it hasn't stopped at least 10 to 12 bands calling themselves the Platters.
Oh, that's crazy.
And crazy. How does a 22-year-old guy call himself the original Platters?
Hey, we used to go when we would do concerts, when they would have the Drifters, the Coasters, Danny and the Juniors, but whoever. So we used to look. I wonder what Drifter group that is, or what Coaster group.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And this one lawyer bought it all up, Larry Marshak.
Oh,
and
sure.
He bought all those names, and then he put all those groups out. It was just, it was like a factory, and some of them didn't even know the words.
Yeah, I know. Hey, when guys do that, people don't understand. They call it cattle. They call it cattle herding. What they'll do is they'll take anybody with a look, a certain sound, a certain type.
Wow.
They're called types, and they cattle herd them into these tribute. You know what I'm talking. You know exactly what I mean.
Exactly.
And that's what they, and that's what they do. But they're not. Do not be fooled, folks. They're not original groups. The original guys, Johnny is a young man. Okay, at 70 something years old. Okay, we won't give it all away.
75.
But,
I thought I was gonna say 60 something, but okay.
Right.
I'll take that, Amelia.
There you go.
I'll take it.
But people like, and I'm 66, so we're in that ballpark, you know.
Oh yeah,
but
man.
Here's the thing, though. People don't get that. These guys, if there are still alive, if there are any originals, they're not old. They're too old to perform anymore.
The Clovers, they got one original left.
Yeah.
And he's 90 something, but he sits on a chair.
Yeah.
And he's a bass.
Yeah.
But that's all he could do. Yeah. But he's original.
Mm-hmm.
So they can call themselves that.
Yeah, that bothers me. Let's talk about how your progression as an entertainer has evolved over the years. You start off with this Danny and the Juniors. When did you leave the Juniors? Was it on good terms? Your friendship with the late Danny Rapp, who, by the way, passed. He didn't have to pass that way. I know he had issues. Yeah. Things were going wrong with him. But and we can talk about that privately. If I don't want to dig up.
No, no, you could talk about it. Okay. Joe Terry, Frank, and we gave an interview in England,
right,
about that, because we never did the interview after Danny died in the States.
Yeah.
So when we did the European tour, we did an interview in England and just about suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did. But then everybody said, "Nah, somebody shot him." But nah, he left a note.
Yeah, I know.
He left a note, and he was depressed. It was just bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Danny was he was my best friend. Really, I mean, don't forget we were on the road for years.
Yeah.
We used to leave in May, let's say May, and we come back maybe the first week in November.
Wow.
It's a long tour.
Yeah. Yeah, Amelia, they used to call them summer tours.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were long summer tours, bro. I'm going to tell you what.
And the winter tours, too, like Buddy Holly. Look at that.
Yeah, well, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and Bopper, they died on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And we did that February 3rd every year after that. I
knew a guy that was on that tour with them, my friend Dion.
Oh.
You know, Dion, the Wanderer, Run Around Sue, Amelia, you're too young. Dion DiMucci.
I heard the songs.
Still here you go. I'll give you one. I performed on stage at the Latin Casino with Dion.
Oh, wow.
True story.
That's a nice memory, brother.
I'm going to tell you something. We did a medley of Dion and the Belmonts hits, Run Around Sue, The Wanderer, and then I got to sing Teenager in Love solo. So that was cool. Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, and Dion's a great guy. He knew my dad for years and years.
You know, he's
my father was. I don't know if you ever knew my dad. My dad was Bob DeCipio. He was an old restaurant guy and worked at the racetracks. He was a big racetrack guy.
What, the Atlantic City racetrack or the?
Yes, sir.
I know your father. Well,
I'm sure you. Yeah, I'm sure you did.
I had a TV show there called Race from Work.
No shit.
No shit. Race from Work. I used to see him all the time.
That's funny.
Wow.
Holy cow. But you're not.
Yeah, that was my dad's. That's where he worked, Atlantic City Racetrack, for sure.
Yeah.
Here, Amelia, I'll show you. I'm going to show you It's a funny thing, Amelia, how things work out.
Yeah.
Johnny and I both did our television show from the same TV studio in Atlantic City and never ran into each other.
That's right. That's right. WWAC TV 53.
53, yep.
Channel 53. Johnny, my family and Mad Dog's family lived in Knoxville, Tennessee, and we never ran into each other, and we worked at the same flea market.
Yeah.
Around the same time.
Yeah. You say Knoxville, Tennessee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that where you from, Amelia?
Yeah, no, I'm originally from Texas, but he and I his family and my family lived in Knoxville, Tennessee for the
I
same
was
time.
living in Tennessee the same time, same town where she was.
Yeah,
Isn't that funny?
we worked in the flea market together. Well, we had a booth and he had a booth, and we
I
never
had
ran
a
into each
store
other.
on the weekends. I used to have a
Uh-huh.
flea market.
Yeah.
My late ex-wife,
Mhm.
she liked to have do crafts and stuff, and I
Yeah.
got her this place at a flea market. Anyway, it's a long time ago, but yeah,
Wow.
it's funny how.
Let me ask you. You
Oh,
know
it's
Michael's Cow Palace in Knoxville? That's
Oh
actually a
my God,
name.
I do.
Michael's Cow
I
Palace.
do.
But we didn't play there. We used to go there and drink.
Yeah.
But we played at the Ramada. We used to do the shows at the Ramada all the time in Knoxville.
Wow.
I love Knoxville, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Leon and Rosie are in our chat. They said we're listening in the emergency room. While we'll be okay, not life threatening. Oh, thank
Hi, Leon and
God
Rosie.
for that.
Tell them I'll say a prayer for them.
Yes.
I'll tell you what, we get them from everywhere.
Mhm.
There's character Leon and Rosie at the emergency. See, they're listening to us in the hospital.
Yeah, they listen.
Boy, you got them healthy and unhealthy.
I'm telling you what. Yeah, brother.
Right.
Amelia, questions for Johnny Petillo.
Yeah, I was going to ask you too. I know that Sean and I had their own TV show. Were you ever a part of that show or
Well,
with
Sean and
that
I,
show? Mm-hmm.
I tell you, Bowser, when he left, now I knew Lenny.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So I used to talk to Lenny all the time. He says, listen, when it's all over, we'll get you in. Don't worry about it. Okay. So when they went to court, Bowser had such a good lawyer.
Yeah.
Because they, John Bowser could not use the name Shanana.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Shanana could not have a character similar to Bowser.
Exactly.
And my appearance.
It looks too much like Bowser.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling them, I said, listen, I'm not going to be like him, grease for peace. I wasn't going to do that.
Yeah.
I was going to do me, but only like a New Jersey, New Yorker kind of guy.
Yeah. But though, John, is, you do bear a striking resemblance to John.
And that's why that's why they approached me.
I'll tell you who made out better than anybody, believe it or not, was Johnny Contardo.
My man, he's still going.
He's still going now. Johnny Contardo. You know
what? I love Johnny.
Johnny's got more money than he knows what to do with.
Yeah. And he wants to get back out there, man.
Yeah, and he's still singing and he's cooking and he's got a product line and anything he could put his name on. God bless him.
He did
he's the guy, show. Amelia, back in the day, Amelia, Johnny Contardo was the guy that reminded you of Billy Crystal because he looked like Billy Crystal back in the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But that was what a hell of a voice too, man.
Wow.
Great voice. So Johnny, let's talk about bring you up to speed a little bit. So you became kind of an ad hoc member of the Duprees on and off and in and out. How did that evolution come about? Who made the first approach?
Well, like I said, after Danny, Mike Arnone called me up. The late Mike Arnone. He was the only original, but he's the only one that had the name.
Ah, okay.
So he called me up, and he made me an offer. And at first, I didn't take it. I've been on the road all these years. Now you want me almost sound like I was going to be a roadie.
Yeah.
I said, no. Then the manager called. Then we were on a conference call. Then we came to an agreement. I did Madison Square Garden with them. After the Garden, Mike Arnone approached me and said, I want you, Al Latta, who's passed away, Larry DeSalvi, who's still with us. I want you guys to go out as the Duprees and do the road, strictly road. I mean, that's where I came from. I said, yeah. And then later on, Larry left, and the guy Tony Russo joined.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when that happened, oh man, it was great. But let me tell you something, Mad Dog, and you and Amelia can relate to this.
Yeah.
This was in 1983.
Yeah.
The minute you leave Pittsburgh, when you pass Pittsburgh, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
Because my first gig with the Duprees was in St. Louis.
Yeah.
They didn't know who we were. I had to go do radio interviews, and they have the Rock On book.
Yeah.
And they're going, well, what about that? I said, did you ever hear? And they always say the same thing. We thought Shana Na did those songs.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, the late Jimmy Beaumont, God rest his soul. Yeah. And same thing. Jimmy was from Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Jimmy was from Pittsburgh. They didn't know who he was anywhere. The Northeast, Johnny. What is it about this area that's just breeding incredible music, incredible talent?
Yeah, I think it's the ocean air.
There you go.
It's got to be something.
It's got to be something.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like in Asbury Park.
Yeah.
Doo Wop.
Yeah.
We were on the street corners.
Yeah.
So if you're doing a street corner on 3rd Avenue, your main goal is to do one on Asbury Avenue.
Yeah.
After Asbury Avenue, then Main Street. You know
exactly.
what I mean? So it was like, to us, they were gigs. We didn't get paid.
Yeah.
But then our first gig, we opened for Soupy Sales.
Oh my God. Yeah.
He was the greatest, man.
I
love that guy so much.
I remember Soupy Sales well. God love him. Yep.
Right? Was he the perfect guy to hang out with?
He was Soupy. I want to let everybody in on a little behind the scenes with Soupy Sales. Soupy Sales did a children's program back in the day, but now, if you were hip, right now, wait a minute, and Johnny, you'll know this. You are going to know this to be true. Here's the thing: he did a children's program, but it was a very adult children's program, because what he used to do is he was very, very clever. He would weave in adult material into the kids shit. You remember? Am I kidding?
Oh yeah, no, it's true.
Right? But Soupy, I'm sorry, folks, he was fucking funny. Okay, he was funny. And
that's how you gotta say it.
And Soupy was dirty too.
Yeah, he was dirty.
Yeah, he was dirty.
When we opened up for him, he had a hit record out, The Mouse.
The Mouse, yes.
The Mouse, and the whole audience is in your house.
This is what they used to do, Amelia.
Oh, cool.
I'm not even kidding.
It's right.
So cool.
Between Do the Mouse and Do the Freddy, you looked like you were epileptic. I'm serious. You remember the Freddy?
That hit my funny bone.
Freddy and the Dreamers, Amelia. Look it up on YouTube.
Oh yeah, Amelia, look it up. The Freddy. He was a milkman, that guy.
So, Johnny, I saw the Duprees 4 times.
All right, which group?
Each time I saw them, it was a different group.
Yeah, and that's that. They were more into manufacturing groups.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Actually, the original lead singer was Joey Van.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Joey Van, my opinion, they would not have had a hit.
The guy who I think sounded closest to the original sound was Richie Rosado. Yeah. Richie Rosado. But why did Tony have such a problem with Richie Rosado?
Because Richie was a problem.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Richie always seemed Richie always seemed like a nice guy to me, but I didn't know him that way. I just, the different kind of, when you're working with somebody, it's different. You know what I mean?
believe me, it's different. You know, because when you're in front of the camera, I remember years ago when we started out, you know, you're 15, 16, we had a manager, and the manager always said, keep smiling. I don't care if everybody in your family just got wiped out. You smile.
No. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Said,
yep.
Boy, is this the business I'm going into?
Yes, you are. Yep.
You know what I mean? But
Right.
you know, everybody's, hi, how are you? Nice to see you.
It's a pleasure.
I take it all at face value.
Leon and Rosie say Leon and Rosie in our chat. They said, "Yes, you do look like Bowser. Just Google a recent picture of him." Oh, God, thank you, Leon.
I used to do that. I had him on my TV show, and he goes, "Grease for peace."
I never really like interacted with him. I met him. I stood next. He's a very tall man. He's like 6'6". He's a big guy.
He's tall.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
But in
Great
contrast,
piano player.
in contrast, yeah. Oh, a hell of a nice guy though. Smart guy too.
I love him.
Smart as a whip.
You know, he knows his business.
Let's talk about, and this is the aspect of entertainment that people always want to avoid, but on this show we go there. The idea of you can't choose who you work with, so you may as well get along. Are there people that you've worked with that you just, for whatever reason, they couldn't get along with you, or you couldn't get along with them?
So I leave. If that's the case, I would just go. If that, why stay in a thing like that? Yeah. I mean, listen, Danny and the Juniors was a battleground. I mean, a battleground.
Talk to me about
the point where there was two groups out.
Well, can we talk? I know that part. I know that part.
I know you do.
And I want you to. I do. I know that part. One of the things, I'm also a music historian, and I've been in music my whole life. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is that split. What happened specifically? What happened to split the faction into two? Because originally, Danny and the Juniors were originally 5 guys when they started. Then they were known as 4. What happened, John?
Well, when they started, it was Johnny Madera was one of the writers of At the Hop. He was a co-writer with Dave White.
Right.
And he did the first demo of At the Hop, but it was called Do the Bop. So Johnny Madero sang that. Do the bop, you know, let's all do the bop. Oh, baby, let's all do the bop. So but that didn't work. And
can I tell you who changed it?
Dick Clark.
Dick Clark. Dick Clark.
Hey, we could go on Jeopardy.
No,
this subject.
I heard Dick Clark tell the story.
Oh yeah, it's true.
I was at his rock and roll show in Atlantic City with Dion.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it was Dion, Cornell, Gunther, and the Coasters. Oh my God! There's a name. We'll talk about Cornell.
Oh yeah.
He's a character. Oh man, what a trip he was, brother. And then and then the original Shirelles and Ronnie Spector with the Ronettes, the late Ronnie Spector. So yeah, I know a little bit about kind of what I'm talking about. So
yeah, well, Shirley Austin, you know, man.
Oh, Shirley Austin and the Shirelles, yeah, for sure.
At one point, and I think it was in the 80s. At one point, there was. Shirley had a Shirelles, Beverly had a Shirelles, and Doris had a Shirelles. Doris Jackson, and she passed away. Mickey passed first. So now there was 3 of them. They didn't get along.
Yeah.
So they all started their own group.
Yeah.
But who's the Shirley had the voice, but so did Doris.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing too, John, with the Supremes. It was Diana Ross and the Supremes. And then it was the Supremes featuring Mary Wilson. Right. If you remember back in the
yes, I
70s.
do.
Yeah.
I was
So
very
there were-
good friends with her.
Yeah, and Mary Wilson, God rest her soul. She's the one, by the way, Amelia. She did the song called "My Guy."
Yes.
Nothing.
No, that was Mary Wells.
I'm sorry, Mary Wells.
Mary Wells,
Okay,
yes.
that's. I'm sorry, Amelia. Wrong song.
Take away from my guy.
But-
Yep, that one.
But Mary Wilson and the Supremes and Diana Ross and the Supremes. But the judge ruled that they could both call themselves the Supremes.
Yeah,
Which would be unheard of today.
Right?
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
It's nuts. So you had two Danny and the Juniors running around.
Two. Yeah. And it was Danny, me, and Bobby Love. who
Okay.
passed. Then there was Danny, Joe, Frank, and Billy.
Mm-hmm.
Then Billy left. Then Danny is going. Then I went with them. With Frank, Joe. It's confusing, ain't it? Frank, Joe,
I'm following you. Go ahead.
and me. So we were but it was Danny and the Juniors featuring Joe Terry.
Yes.
He
That's
had
the
that in his
band-
contract.
That's the group that I saw, Johnny, in Atlantic City at the Playboy Casino.
That was them.
Yeah. Joe
Yeah.
Terry, Danny and the Juniors featuring Joe Terry. It was Joe, Frank, and
Was it
I don't
Billy?
know who the third guy
A
was.
lot of third guys.
Yeah, and it
A lot
might
of
have
third
been
guys in the juniors.
it might have been Frank's brother.
Bobby. Yeah.
It might have been Bobby Maffey. Bobby and Frank Maffey were brothers. They
You know
both
what? It
sang-
definitely was Bobby. Because the last show we did was May 11th, 2021. Or no, 2019.
Yeah.
May 11th, 2019.
Mhm.
Wow.
The last show we did
Yeah.
was Frank and Bobby Maffei and me.
Yeah.
And we did it in Emporia, Virginia was the Tokens with Jay
Mhm.
Siegel, Joey
Oh
D,
God, yeah.
Terry
I love
Johnson, and the Crystals.
Oh
That was
my
our
Lord.
last Danny and the
Wow.
Junior show ever. That was it. We
Wow.
said goodbye that night. We said good night and goodbye. That's it. No more.
I
gigs.
have to tell you, the show that I saw in Atlantic City, and I'm not going to speak disparaging. It wasn't Danny and the Juniors. It wasn't the sound. It just wasn't Danny and the Juniors.
You ain't kidding.
No,
I mean-
it was not at all.
I know.
Because Joe-
I'm gonna tell you this. They're gonna get mad at me, but
look, they're going to get mad at me too. Here you go.
so we were in South Carolina, and we ended the show with At the Hop.
Mhm.
That was, we get done trying to sell CDs, and I saw this woman walking our way. She looked like she wanted to kill us. So I said to Frank, I said, "Yo, Frank, look at this woman over here." Yeah, man, she came and she went, "I'm mad at you guys." And we said, "Why? What we do?" Well, we're trying to. She goes, "Why didn't you do At the Hop?"
Oh,
Now
Oh.
we just ended with it. She went just like this. That's never the way I heard it, and walked away. And that's when I left.
Uh-oh.
I said, wow, that's it.
wow. And
Yeah,
you know
it was-
what?
Yeah. I was so
gotta
used
tell
to
you,
Danny doing
it was a bad performance. I'm sorry. The only thing worse than that show was the very next day, God rest his soul, but I got to see the late Jimmy Rogers, who had to get on his knees to hit the high notes in Honeycomb.
Yeah, well, he remember that? He got like beat up real bad that time.
Yeah, he sure
in
the hell
Los
did.
Angeles.
Yeah.
And he couldn't matter of fact, it was a traffic stop.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost killed him.
Yeah, Jimmy Rogers. He did
And
a
that
song
Honeycomb,
called Honeycomb.
he couldn't hit that anymore, Mad Dog.
Nah.
No,
In
I
fact,
did a couple of oldie shows that he was on.
Yeah.
He was not the same.
No, and the smartest
it
thing
wasn't
he
his fault.
did, the smartest thing he did was put his daughter front and center because she had a great look and she had a hell of a voice.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's the way to
Jimmy's
do it.
daughter. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy's daughter. Yeah.
Yeah, that was,
So we've had a number of people on this show, Johnny. We've had tribute artists, lookalikes. We've had impersonators.
Right.
One of a guy who I grew up with is one of the top Tom Jones impersonators in the whole world. His name's Steve McCoy.
oh, yeah.
And Steve. Okay. I grew up with him. He's from my town. We grew up in the same town together. I know Steve for 55 years.
He's fabulous, man.
He is.
I mean, he's Tom Jones.
Nice.
He is Tom Jones. Amelia, how many times has he been on the show with us?
At least a couple of times.
And he likes his wine. Whenever he comes
He
on
does.
here,
He has his little wine.
a cigar and a bottle of wine.
Mm-hmm.
But we've had a number of people on here. Here's the thing. What is your and be candid with me, be very honest. What are your thoughts on the tribute acts, the lookalike acts, the impersonator? Give me your general consensus. Take as much time as you want. What do you think about that?
Nah. I don't, I'm not that kind of, I want to see the
real thing.
They're doing it for it's an agent thing. The agents, once they get their claws on a tribute, Queen. You know how many Queen tribute bands there are?
Oh my God!
I
Please
didn't realize it. Led Zeppelin. After a while, it just gets monotonous.
It's crazy. Wait a minute. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Doors. And then, of course, the granddaddy of all tributes, everybody and his brother that's got a jumpsuit thinks they're Elvis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, there are guys doing Elvis today that were embryos 30 years ago.
Right.
Yeah, I'll tell you a good thing. When we used to travel with Danny, there was always, like, we go to a town like in Wisconsin or whatever. They always had an local Elvis, open up the show.
Oh my!
Oh, that's funny.
There's one Elvis I'll never forget. This guy changed his name to Elvis Aaron Presley. Changed his daughter. He had two daughters. Changed one to Lisa and one to Marie. He changed his wife's name to Priscilla.
Oh my goodness!
This is crazy.
Oh
it's
my
just great. And he had two bodyguards, and he wanted them to change their name to Red and Sonny.
Sonny, oh my God!
I'm telling you, man, you can't write this shit. You can't,
brother. I'll tell you what you can't write. I stood next to Elvis Presley for 20 minutes, and I'll tell you where and when. It was May 28th, 1977. I was working for Jerry Blavitt. It was my father's birthday that day. Elvis did a one night only at the Philadelphia Spectrum. You remember that building?
Sure.
26,000 people. They packed the rafters, and downstairs before the show, everybody's waiting, and a limo pulls into the building. Elvis gets out. He's half concocted on, he's like, he's in another place,
Yeah.
And it was a shame. He got out of the car. They took him, whisked him away to a room to get dressed. He put his jumpsuit on, came out, and you would have never knew it was the same guy that got out of that car.
Yeah.
Because I want to tell you what, when he came out of that room, he was Elvis.
To this day, that he was the most charismatic entertainer, one of the greatest singers of all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be a while before you see that again.
Let me tell you something funny we talked about earlier about how things come full circle. Can't make this shit up. My wife's father, God rest his soul, worked for an Elvis tribute act. Okay. Amelia's husband worked for Graceland. Her husband worked for Elvis.
Yeah.
Real Amelia.
Yeah.
Can't make this
We
shit
want
up.
your autograph.
Her husband Jeff used to be Elvis's groundskeeper.
Yeah.
I'm not making any of this up.
Oh no,
This is
I
for real.
listen. We don't lie here on in show business.
For real.
Yeah.
No, I believe. As a matter of fact, my wife and I, the last Tony Orlando show at the Mohegan Sun, we were hanging out with Priscilla all night.
Yeah.
You want to hear some stories?
Oh, I know. Let me tell you something. I, God rest her soul, but I had one conversation in my life with Lisa Marie, long time ago that I promised I would never discuss it. But I will tell you that she was her father. That girl was her father.
She looked just like him.
Yeah.
Let's see who's here. Let's see who's in the room here. I'm looking in our chat. Oh, perfect cigar and wine. Here you go. Leon's just hanging out at the hospital listening to our show.
Yeah.
There you go.
Tell him I need some Band-Aids.
Right?
Leon, pick up a box of Band-Aids for The Glory Days of Doo Wop with Johnny Petillo. I got a Tony Orlando story for you. That again, everything that happened to me happened at the Latin Casino. Tony Orlando and Dawn, Thelma Hopkins and Joyce Vincent Wilson. Tony Orlando, very young Tony with long hair and that porn star mustache he had going on.
Don't talk about him that way. Don't talk about my crush that way.
And he's doing the show. About halfway through the show, he decides the stage isn't big enough.
Oh,
so he comes off the stage, but he doesn't realize that he's not walking on a runway. He's walking on tables.
Oh no!
And he's coming down the tables, and they're shaking. Well, he gets down the R's. Now you have to understand, we're at the end, and it's a very narrow table. And Tony was kind of, put he's a little bit big around the middle, okay? But even then, he wasn't big around the middle, but he was pretty solid, okay? And because he's a tough guy, and so the table starts to shake, and my father is on one side, and I'm on the other side. Going, which one's going to catch him first, right? So the table, sure enough, comes down, and Tony ends up in my lap.
Oh my goodness!
Well, yeah, I'm not tell him the Latin Casino.
The first time, believe me.
Yeah, the Latin Casino. I met the guy whose lap you landed in.
Full circle.
But that's true, because it's funny because he did. Oh my God, he must have been on stage. I'm not even shitting. He must have been on stage, Johnny, for 2.5 hours.
What was on the show with him? I did it. He doesn't know how to. 90 minutes. They all tell him 90, Tony, please. Especially in the casino.
3 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah, we did 3 hours and 20 minutes. The casinos are going crazy. They don't want them in there. They want them gambling.
I'll tell you who else likes to do them 2-3 hour epics. Wayne Newton.
Oh, yeah.
Even
they were
today,
partners at one time.
Even today, Wayne Newton at 82, 83 years old is still doing 2-3 hour shows.
Man, and Tony and Wayne have the same birthday, April 5th.
Wow. No shit.
Wayne, he's like, 1, 2, 7, 3, 5, 8. He's got a band that features everybody.
Yeah. Crazy. I lived in Vegas for a while, so I got to see Wayne a lot. I got to see every tribute act in Vegas at the time. All Elvis, the occasional Janis Joplin tribute show.
She's hard to do. That's why you don't see too many of her.
Well, I had a very dear friend of mine that used to do Dean Martin. His name was Bill Witten. They called him, Bill? He passed away now.
I know, but he was the one in Vegas.
Yeah, E.P. King. He used to work as E.P. King and Dean Martin.
Was he with Sandy Hackett?
Yes, and I
Yeah,
knew
that's
Sandy.
the same guy.
I knew Sandy. Yeah,
Yeah, so did I.
because
But
I used to do open mics at his comedy club in Vegas.
I know, and I always wanted to play that club.
I'll tell you who else is great. Another Philly guy that made good in Vegas, Cookie Jar.
Just passed away. He
Aw.
was.
Did he?
He was an entertainer, man.
Oh man,
He was
Cookie
something.
passed. Oh
Cookie Jar and
man,
the Crumbs. What a name!
I'm telling you, they were great. Cookie Jar.
Every time I went to Vegas, I had to see a Cookie Jar show.
Amelia, you're
Yes.
young. Go on to the internet and Google Cookie Jar and the Crumbs. Cookie Jar, Jarr. Check it out sometime. You'll
Absolutely.
understand because she's young, Johnny. You know, sometimes I have to.
My
I
my
forget
aunt used to
sometimes that
play
she's,
these
you know, she's a
songs
baby,
for.
you know.
Are you kidding? I grew up with these songs. My mom and my aunt used to play these songs for me all the time when I was little. That's how I learned about Tony Orlando. I had such a
I
crush on
remember
him.
when Moses used to
He'll
sing
love
them
me.
to me. I
Hey,
remember
how about Freddie Bell and the Bell Boys?
Freddie Bell. My father knew Freddie Bell very well.
I loved him, man.
Here's one for you. Sam Butera and the Wildest, Louis Prima, and I knew Keely. I knew Keely in Las Vegas, Keely Smith. God rest
Oh man, I can't believe you're giving me chills.
him.
We did the telethon one day in LA.
Yeah.
And then Tony says, "Come on, let's go to lunch in Beverly Hills." Hey, I don't turn that down.
Yeah,
So
go.
we're going, there was like 7 of us. And everybody's walking by this woman. And I looked, I went, "That's Keely Smith." I went, "Keely Smith." She went, "Yeah, oh, hi." Like, oh my, I said, "Hey, Tony, Keely Smith is here." So Tony didn't see it. He came right over. Hey, and they were hugging. You know, they've known each other for years.
Yeah.
And then she was by herself. So she wound up coming eating with us.
Yeah.
And boy, those Louis Prima stories.
Oh man. Bro,
I don't think we can talk about that.
I got to see Louis in Vegas. My father knew Sam Butera very, very well for years. Because Sam, as you know, Sam was a horse degenerate that loved to bet on the ponies.
That's all he did.
That's all. Yeah, they do. These old school guys, they loved the track. They loved the racetrack back in the day.
I think him and Walter Matthau used to go.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know,
Walter was I'll tell you who else my father used to love because he was a customer of my dad's, was the late Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney was a horse guy, big time.
My wife loves Mickey Rooney.
Oh man, I'll tell you what, that guy spent a lot of money on the ponies, brother.
Oh yeah,
and he was a stingy tipper.
Oh yeah. Well, you know those big gamblers.
Yeah, he was a cheap bastard. Let's talk a little bit. I wrote some names down over here. Let's talk about. You mentioned earlier a guy that we both knew back, and I knew him. You know, not the same way you. Billy Carlucci in the Essentials. A guy from one of my goombas from South Philly.
Luke.
He's again a Billy Carlucci, old school Italian through and through, hell of an entertainer. Talk to me about why, in your opinion, he wasn't bigger than he should have been. A lot bigger than he was. What was it that kept the kibosh on him?
In my opinion,
or who? Yeah, what or who?
Well, in my opinion, he stayed with the juniors too long. He stayed with Danny the Juniors too long, and we used to have talks about that because Billy had that kind of voice. I mean, when we were together, Billy used to do a Frankie Valli medley.
Wow,
like nobody's business.
Wow,
and you know, and he would get approached all the time. You know, but he just didn't take that step. You got to step out of the box in order to create your own box.
Yeah.
And he just stayed in that box. My opinion, he was in the juniors way too long.
Yeah.
And then
there are
he started Billy Essentials again.
There are a number of people, Johnny, who most definitely qualify in that category. People who, for lack of a better understanding of maybe who they are, stayed in their comfort zone too long. Give me the quintessential people you think stayed in their comfort zone too long. Billy Carlucci clearly won. Give me a couple other names of people who you think stayed in their, in their comfort zone way too long. That could have been bigger.
Remember Billy Harner?
I know Billy Harner. He was my barber for years.
I was going to say, did he cut your hair?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you about Billy. And then tell you a story, because I'll tell you about that. I gave Billy Harner a signed guitar that still to this day is hanging in his barbershop. That it's still, I gave him a signed electric guitar. I'm not going to tell you whose name is on it, but the biggie is it's still on his wall. All right. Billy's one of those guys that I haven't seen him in so long. I don't even know if he's still around anymore. But
last I heard, he had a little problem, a little health issue. But Billy, he'll entertain at a Subway if you let him.
Yeah, they called him the human percolator.
That's him.
Talk to me about Billy.
Well, we did a lot of shows with Billy Harner and Phil. So one time we did a show. We all went out, and I spoke with him. I said, Billy, I said, yeah, everybody loves you in Philadelphia. Right. I said, and you're hit. Right. I says, you're living off of it, but you're still cutting hair and you're doing. I says, there's other places other than Philadelphia.
Yeah.
I says, why don't you try Ohio? Go because he had the record, he had the hit.
Yeah.
What's he doing? Still cutting hair. Same thing, Richie Rizzo, still cutting hair.
Yeah. And I never understood. He did his big hit was called Sally Saying Something.
Yeah.
And then the opposite, the other side of Sally Saying Something was called Homicide Dresser.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. I'll show you. It's right there.
Yeah.
Homicide Dresser, right there.
That's it, bro.
Yeah. You can't make this up.
No, you can't.
I don't know if he's. I gotta see if he's still around. God, it's Billy, man. He is still around.
Yeah. No, Billy. I'm telling you, man.
Here's a name for you. I'll throw something. Only people in this area will even know who the hell I'm talking about. Our gal Sal.
Oh.
Who am I talking about?
Sally
Starr.
Sally Starr. She was Philadelphia, man.
Yeah.
We did so many shows with her.
She
in Atlantic
was
City.
A classy lady.
Oh man, she was so one day Frank Maffei and I and Sally were doing a thing for Jerry Blavat at the Taj.
Yeah.
In Atlantic City. They have like a little sock hop there.
Oh yeah.
So we just got a little routine and we put it together. So Sally, she'll do whatever it takes. Mm-hmm. God rest her. She slips and she goes down. Oh man! So we got we grabbed her. Said, Sally, you okay? No. No. Does it look like I'm okay? So she gets up, and then she kind of like dusts herself off.
Yeah.
Went right back into it.
There you go.
Now I grew up. And
I used to do Sally's commercials for her. I used to do all of Sally Starr's commercials for her at the WPGR, Philly Gold Radio.
Yeah.
Which was Jerry's radio station. That's where I worked. And she loved my voice, and she would only let me do her commercials.
Well, listen
You
to
know?
your voice, man. That's
Thank you.
the voice.
That's what I
This
do.
is your thing. He's
But
great.
yeah, but Sally, what a sweet, sweet lady she was. But you have to be from Philly to
was my
even know
point.
who, because out of this area,
No, but I didn't know her.
but everybody knew Jerry because Jerry got around a little bit.
Well, Jerry
I'll
was
tell you what helped Jerry Blavitt, and believe it or not, this is true story, Amelia.
Mhm.
Jerry Blavitt, God rest his soul, who we just lost a year ago.
I know.
Yeah, Jerry was a good friend of a lot of bands and musicians. Well, he was friends with Mickey Dolenz of the Monkees,
Right.
and he got on the Monkees TV show. You remember the episode
I'm
that Jerry
sure.
Blavitt did?
Yeah.
Right? And this is true, Amelia. Check it out. Jerry Blavitt on the Monkees, right?
Okay.
And they just had him running around like a crazy. He didn't really do anything. They just had him running around doing a bunch of schlocky stuff, right? But the fact that he got on TV and his name was on the credits,
Mhm.
that's how everybody knew who the hell he was.
Wow.
One time on TV will get you, because it's a worldwide.
Yeah.
It's
And
for
you know,
the whole country.
once you meet him, like the average person you meet, you never forget him.
I'll tell you what.
Never forget him.
I want to show a piece of film here. First of all, thank you to whoever did this video. I lifted this from johnnypetillo.com. I'm not going to say, the name of the publishing company because they won't let me.
I know. You know, they get so.
It's a small clip of Tony and Johnny interacting. Here, let's watch this.
Man.
You all right, John?
Oh,
Hold on.
Johnny,
There it is.
thank you for every year you've been here with me, 34 or 5 years that you've been on the stage here. They're all yours.
You got it, Tom.
See the pyramids along the Nile. Watch the sunrise on a tropic isle. Just remember, darling, all the while you belong to me.
And that's all I'm allowed to play.
Now you're safe.
That's all I'm allowed to play. They won't let me play anything more than that. Otherwise, I
No,
have to,
I did Blue
find a
Moon in that
copyright
show
release.
too.
Well, where and when was that, John? What
That was Tony's last show.
was
Yeah,
that
that was
in
his
Atlantic
last
City?
That
show.
was the last show. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that was in Resorts International.
No, that was in Mohegan Sun.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mohegan. Okay, in Connecticut.
Right.
And Dawn
Okay,
even was on
gotcha.
there too. The two ladies. Mhm.
What's that,
Yeah.
Amelia?
The two ladies from Dawn, they were there as well.
Oh yeah.
Thelma and
Yeah.
Joyce.
Mhm.
Yeah, everybody was there. My
Yeah.
God, I
He was
couldn't-
in tears. It made me in tears. I was like, no, don't make me cry.
Right.
Well, cousin Brucey was there.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you,
One
Priscilla.
of my heroes, cousin Brucey and Wolfman Jack.
Oh, right, you got the sound right here. Wolfman Jack.
Oh baby, that's the Wolfman.
We were on tour with him.
Oh,
With
wow.
Wolf. Oh my God.
And
Oh.
we did all these state fairs, like Michigan State County Fair, this fair, that fair, and we always had tents. So I used to do like an impression of them. So we were inside a tent one time, and there's people trying to get in. He goes, Johnny, go ahead. Hey man, get out of here! I got a gun. Leave me alone. People, Him and Ron.
That's funny shit. Amelia, questions for this crazy man, Amelia.
We just watched a clip with you and Tony Orlando. What was the funniest story you could tell us of you and Tony?
Let me see now.
There are no language
or not.
Yeah, there's no.
We have no language parameters, Johnny. So feel free to be creative.
Oh yeah, listen, I'm Italian from Jersey.
Yeah.
There you go.
We don't give a shit.
Right?
We just like to have fun.
That's funny.
Oh, he's looking at the battery power.
Oh,
Tony on stage was like a funny story. He would bring somebody on stage with him, and he'd do a little act with them, and I remember the woman got, so Tony always says, "Come backstage," and he'll tell the security. So the security brings this guy backstage, and they asked the guy's name that he brought upstage was Tony Orlando too.
oh my God.
Oh my God.
So it was like, well, the real. Was you there for that show? Yeah. I mean, we were on the road so many times. I mean, for years. And then when you get done with a show and you're in one of these sleepy ass towns,
Mm-hmm.
and what's open? Oh no, that's closed. That's what they had. One place open was Blimpies.
Oh my goodness.
I never had a Blimpie. I don't like those kind of subs. I mean, are they still in business? I don't know. So Tony said, "Wait a minute, this is the only place open." That's it.
Funny.
So there was 7 of us.
Oh my
So
God.
Tony told his road manager, Joe Hatt, who was the greatest road manager in the world. He goes, "Go get 20 subs." Shorted.
Amelia, Blimpies is a burger joint, Amelia, in case you don't know.
Blimpies.
Funny.
I'll never forget. I'll just never forget it.
Oh my God, that's
Oh my
funny.
goodness.
I know what that's like. I had a friend of mine. He does a Jerry Lee Lewis tribute. There was a few guys that I knew did tribute acts. A dear friend, he doesn't do it anymore. He's retired, thank God. But because now he's relaxing and enjoying life. He did Roy Orbison and another friend that did Jerry Lee Lewis. And after the show one night, my friend Terry Turner, who does Jerry Lee Lewis, we go out looking for some place to eat. And it's like 2:00 in the morning. And the only place we could find was a diner that was still open in South Jersey, right? And a waitress that clearly didn't want to be there, and a cook that fell asleep 3 hours before we got there.
Oh, wow.
And I think they forgot how to cook and what we ordered, but we got something that was completely inedible, and they were pissing me off.
Oh,
And
no.
I just was in one of those moods like, I got friends here. Don't F with me. Not tonight.
Did you say it exactly like that?
Yeah.
Don't you F with me, boy.
Well, I cleaned it up because I'm trying to, to be a good role model for Amelia. But
That's funny.
Yeah, see?
but it was one of those nights where like nothing went right. Like, can we just get something to eat? So I feel your pain when it comes to like when you're done with the show, you just want to unwind. You want to get something to eat, something to drink, and relax a little bit. It's hard to do if you don't know the town.
Well, that's the thing. And then you ask somebody this, you ask this, and then you wind up in some slop shoot somewhere in Minneapolis.
I know, like Warsaw, Michigan, or some shit like that. Or worse, you end up in Bucksnort, Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. I mean, that's where it was. Bucksnort, Tennessee. It's a real town too. They got a traffic light, and one burger joint. And if you're not hungry for a burger, you're screwed, brother, because that's all you get.
Oh, yeah.
You are.
What town was that?
It's called Bucksnort. It's a real place. I'm not shitting you.
You heard of that, Denise?
It's called Bucksnort. Yeah.
Bucksnort,
Bucksnort.
Tennessee.
No, because my wife used to. She lived in Memphis for a little while. 100 years ago.
Yeah. Memphis. That's a place.
Yeah. Wow, I mean Tennessee alone. That's a great state, though. I mean, there's a lot of
it's a great state. I lived there. I lived there for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I did. Yeah, I lived in Knoxville, and then I lived in a place called Rockwood.
Oh yeah, no, I know Rockwood. Like I say, Knoxville. I almost moved there.
Yeah.
I really.
I had a house on a mountaintop in Rockwood, Tennessee. The guy that lived next door to me. check this out. You're gonna love this one, Johnny. The guy that lived next door to me. His house and my house, the only two houses on top of the mountain. He was the police chief, the fire chief, the undertaker, and the chaplain. I'm not shitting you. I can't
like the
make
Andy Griffith show.
I can't make this shit up. People think you gotta be kidding. I swear I'm not making a word of this up.
Oh no! Listen. We've been in those towns,
and I still remember his name. God bless him, great guy. Bruce Foster is the police chief, the chaplain, the fire chief, the undertaker, everything. He's the guy. He's the.
It's amazing. You know those small towns. There's this town in West Virginia called West Union.
Oh God.
One store, one gas station, just one of everything.
One of everything.
And the hospital was like 80 miles away.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no.
That's funny.
West Union. It was around Parkersburg, West Virginia, around there.
Damn. Oh, here you go. Here's one. Waffle House is the only place open in many places. Here you go. Waffle House.
Yes, Waffle House.
But whatever you do, don't eat the steak because it's tougher than shoe leather. Waffle House steak, you don't want to eat it. Use it for a doorstop.
Yeah. Steak at Waffle House?
At Waffle House, yeah.
Not a chance.
Wait, they advertised it's one of their premier meals, steak and eggs.
Yes, steak and eggs.
I'll just take the eggs.
Stick with the eggs, leave the steak. Johnny Petillo is our guest tonight, folks. I got to have this man back on. We're already over time. Holy shit. Yes. Johnny, I'm doing a show. You and I will talk when we get off air here. February 26th. It's a Wednesday night. I'm doing part 3 of the Jersey Sound. I would love to have you and Tony join me.
Yeah, I'll be 12. What time is Tony tonight? Is he gonna call? Man, it'll be late too. When
tell him please,
because he's in Vegas now.
Tell him please, because the person that has a crush on him would love to have him.
I'm gonna say, listen, Tony, Amelia, start signing a picture, give her some CDs. No, really, I know.
Yes.
He's I'm telling you, not because he's one of my best friends, but he's so good to his fans.
Oh,
I've never seen a guy like him.
I've had a crush on him since I was a little girl. I loved his show. I even cried when his show went off the air. Tell him that.
Oh, no, I absolutely will.
Yes.
And I guarantee you, he'll send something right to you.
Absolutely. Yes, please. Great.
You got it.
All right. Well, listen, Neil, what do we got coming up tomorrow night? A very, very special, kind of heavy show.
Yes.
The Devil in the Music tomorrow night. We will be joined by a guy named Arthur Fleck. He is a multi-platinum winning music producer, writer, arranger, composer, talking about the day he literally met the devil. He says he met the devil.
Yes.
We are going to talk to him tomorrow night and find out. I want to find out what this is all about. We will
Wait, when is that? Tomorrow? I'd like to see that.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll be tomorrow night, 7 p.m. on What's the Buzz podcast. Arthur Fleck. Real name is Amelia Santiago Almodovar.
Yeah.
He is a multi-platinum winning, award-winning rap producer, writer, composer.
Well, I heard the name, but I have no connection with the name.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a story that we may do a two-parter. So
it's going to be at least a two-part show. Yeah. I heard his story, Johnny, and I'll tell you what, it's one of those you got to hear this guy like firsthand. You got to look in his eyes and is he real or is he making this shit up? And I want to look him in the eyes and I want to know, is this for real or is this like part of some like bit? You know,
wisdom of the soul, them eyes. You could see their soul.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And we believe that. And I'm real good at that. For Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. For Johnny, the song master Petillo. I am the Mad Dog. This is America's Best Popcast. What's the Buzz? God bless, folks. We'll see you tomorrow night. Lord willing, and the creek.